Do you think you know everything about the miracle of the sun at Fatima? You are wrong. There is a historical document from 1917, shocking and almost impossible to dismiss, that modern documentaries and skeptics seem desperate to erase from memory. And it is the definitive evidence that tears apart the theory of collective hallucination. Because the most shocking, detailed, and scientifically precise testimony of that October 13th was not written by a priest. It was not written by a devout pilgrim. It was not written by Sister Lucia. It was written by one of the fiercest, most cynical, and most ruthless enemies of the Catholic Church in Portugal. A man who had gone to Fatima with one single purpose: to expose what he believed was the greatest religious fraud of the century, to mock 3 children, and to destroy the faith of thousands of people. His name was Avelino de Almeida. He was the powerful editor-in-chief of O Século, the Masonic, atheist, and anti-clerical newspaper aligned with the Portuguese government. Avelino had gone to the Cova da Iria to write the report of a colossal failure. But what he saw terrified him so deeply that he was forced to betray his own newspaper, his colleagues, and his government in order to report an undeniable physical event. Today, we are going to read the uncomfortable account of the atheist who saw the sky collapse. And when you discover what medical science and photography recorded that day, your view of history may change forever. To understand the devastating weight of this document, you have to enter the political climate of Portugal in 1917. We are not inventing anything. History books tell us that the country was under the grip of a fiercely anti-Catholic government. Churches were being closed, priests were persecuted, religion was treated as a mental disease to be eradicated. The newspaper O Século was one of the main propaganda weapons of this regime. When word spread that the Virgin Mary had promised a great miracle for October 13th, the Portuguese government became furious. But it also saw an opportunity. This was the perfect chance to end the matter once and for all. The stakes were extremely high. This was not just an outdoor prayer gathering. The 3 shepherd children were literally risking their lives. Weeks earlier, the anti-clerical mayor of Urem, Artur Santos, had kidnapped them and threatened to fry them alive in boiling oil if they did not confess that they had invented everything. On the morning of October 13th, the tension was unbearable. If nothing had happened at noon, the endless crowd, exhausted and manipulated by political agitators present at the scene, could have lynched the 3 children on the spot. Avelino de Almeida was sent to Fatima with a clear mission: watch the crowd lose control, wait for the failure, and then write the article that would bury the Catholic Church. But Avelino was not alone. And here comes the first shocking detail that is often forgotten. To certify the fraud in a way that could not be challenged, Avelino had brought with him Juda Rua, the newspaper's best photographer, who was also strictly non-believing. Those famous black and white historical photographs you see in every documentary about Fatima, the ones showing people staring at the sky in shock, were not taken by a devout pilgrim. They were taken by the photographic lens of the Masonic press sent there to document a fraud. Avelino arrived at the site the day before. In his first article, published on the very morning of October 13th, he mocked the pilgrims. He described them as poor, deluded souls, ignorant sheep led by mass hysteria. He was confident. He was the enlightened intellectual, the free thinker standing among superstitious peasants. But he had no idea that within just a few hours, all of his absolute certainties would be swept away. The morning of October 13th was a meteorological nightmare. A cold, torrential rain poured down over the Cova da Iria. The roads became rivers of mud. 70,000 people were gathered in the valley. They were soaked to the bone, freezing, standing ankle-deep in red mud. Avelino de Almeida and Juda Rua were there. They looked at the clock. It was noon. Nothing happened. The rain continued to fall mercilessly. The atheist journalists began to smile. The children had lied. The fraud had been exposed. But suddenly, Lucia, the oldest of the three shepherd children, looked toward the sky and cried out, "Look at the sun!" At that precise moment, the rain stopped abruptly. It did not fade away gradually like a normal storm. It stopped instantly. The black clouds, which for hours had covered the valley, split open sharply, like a gigantic theater curtain pulled apart by an invisible hand, revealing the blue sky. And then, the impossible began. What I am about to read to you is not a religious text. These are the exact words signed by Avelino de Almeida and published in the anti-Catholic newspaper O Seculo. Listen carefully to the surrender of an intellectual before an inexplicable fact. The solar star revealed itself. It looked like a disk of dull silver, and it was possible to stare at it without injuring the eyes. It did not burn, it did not blind. It seemed as though there were an eclipse, but then, suddenly a tremendous cry rose from the crowd. Avelino describes a phenomenon that instantly destroys the ordinary laws of optics. The sun began to rotate on itself at a terrifying speed. Avelino wrote, "The sun trembled. It made sudden movements, never seen before, outside all cosmic laws. The sun danced, according to the typical expression of the peasants. The landscape around them began to change color in an unnatural way. The light turned violet, then red, then yellow, coloring the terrified faces of 70,000 people, the trees, and the earth. This was not a reflection. The entire valley was immersed in an alien light. But the worst part, for the logical mind of the journalist, was still to come. After rotating violently, the sun stopped. Then it began to spin again, shooting out rays of colored light. It stopped once more. And the third time, something happened that the crowd would remember as the apocalypse. The sun seemed to literally detach itself from the firmament. It began to plunge in a zigzag motion toward the earth, growing larger and larger, giving off a sudden, oppressive, unbearable heat. Avelino de Almeida, the Masonic editor-in-chief, the man who only hours earlier had mocked religion, gave way to pure terror. In his article, he would write this chilling sentence: "The crowd fell to its knees in the deep mud, weeping and praying, waiting for the end of the world. I saw all of this with my own eyes. It was not an illusion. I saw people tearing at their clothes, believing that this was the final instant of their lives. Even the atheist intellectuals near him fell to their knees, shouting and begging for mercy out loud. The ancient fear of death shattered decades of Enlightenment pride in a handful of seconds. The photographer Rua took pictures frantically, capturing stunned faces before letting his camera fall. Just as the globe of fire was about to crash down upon the crowd, it stopped. And slowly, it rose back to its place in the sky, returning to the normal brightness of the sun. When the people stood up again, still trembling, they discovered something physically impossible. Their clothes were completely, totally dry, and the mud on the ground, which had been an impassable swamp, had suddenly become hard and dry earth. Avelino returned to Lisbon. He entered the newsroom of the country's anti-clerical newspaper and sat down at the typewriter. Imagine the psychological torment of this man. If he wrote that it had been a fraud, he would lie to history, but he would save his salary and his reputation. If he wrote the truth, he would give victory to the church he had sworn to destroy. Avelino chose the truth. On October 15th, the state-aligned newspaper O Seculo came out with a front page that literally shook the halls of government. The headline, printed in enormous letters and accompanied by Rua's photographs, read, "Terrifying things, how the sun danced at midday in Fatima." The blow to Freemasonry and to the government was devastating. Their leading journalist had publicly betrayed them. The reactions were violently harsh. Other secular and government-aligned newspapers, such as A Capital and Diario de Noticias, attacked him brutally. They accused him of having gone mad, of being manipulated by 3 ignorant children, of being weak. The political pressure on him was crushing. The regime demanded an immediate public retraction. 15 days later, under relentless crossfire, Avellino was forced to write a second article. Everyone, from the Prime Minister to his readers, expected him to say, "I was wrong, I was influenced, I apologize." But instead, on October 29, 1917, Avellino de Almeida published a piece titled "Illusion or Reality." And with almost inhuman courage, he did not retract a single word. He wrote, "Miracle or natural phenomenon? It is not for me to say, but I saw it. What happened, happened, and I watched it. I cannot deny the evidence of my own eyes." Many people, after learning this story, ask, did Avellino eventually convert? Historically, he never became a fervent or public Catholic. And you know something? Paradoxically, that makes his testimony even more powerful. He was not a religious fanatic before, and he did not become one afterward. He was simply a secular reporter, an intellectual man forced by the brutality of facts to admit an undeniable physical event until the last day of his life. The miracle of the sun is not a fairy tale told by old people to comfort themselves. It is one of the most documented historical and scientific events of the 20th century. If you have reached the end of this historical journey, I ask you for a small but powerful act of faith. Write this sentence in the comments. Let us make sure that everyone who scrolls beneath this video finds a collective prayer against the skepticism of today's world. Write, "Lord, open my eyes as you did at Fatima. May God bless us all."